Hello and welcome to this video this Monday here on Back of the Net. Hope you're doing okay. I'm with three gents that if you've been following them on social media on Facebook, you'll probably recognise them, especially Willow here, who is the ex-AFCB Bournemouth defender and assistant manager, and also now his dulcet tones can be heard on BBC Radio Solar. We've got Simon here as well. Simon, how are you doing?
Hello, Sam. Very good, thank you.
And also someone who's not been on before. Can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, my name's Gary, and I've successfully just got back from the Ukraine with these two wonderful friends of mine. So, yeah.
So good to see you. I mean, obviously, Willow and Simon, you came on our show and talked about this mission that you're doing, and it sort of came out of the blue. We didn't know about it, and all of a sudden, what? Like 4 Bournemouth fans are going to Ukraine, and what a mission it was. And I mean, how are you feeling? What are your sort of immediate thoughts, Simon, after you come back?
Before you go, Dave was the other member.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Dave
and his wife, Gail, fantastic, and my wife as well helped out a little bit.
Amazingly. Still feels a bit unreal. I mean, the what actually happened along the way was a lot more difficult than we thought when we first got into it. The way things developed was not what we quite expected to begin with, but and things as we'll speak along the way changed a lot in the last day or two. Instead of a 4-day trip, it ended up being a 6-day trip, but. So that we'll go through in a minute, but absolutely relieved, delighted. We actually got the aid to exactly the right people. You hear all the stories about aid going to one country or another and it going in the back of a shop and coming out the front being sold. We can guarantee that didn't happen to our aid because we gave it right to the people in the street that were needing it. An amazing adventure. It's one that no matter how many stories you can tell about. John and I, or Gary and I, as going out for a drink 20 years ago, you think, who else was there? We'll never forget who else was on this trip. It's just one that bonded us for life. Even though we were already close, but it's just a remarkable tale of what actually we went through. First early impressions were Poland and Germany. We knew they're really, really big countries, but doing 500 miles at 600 miles, 700 miles, and you haven't got halfway through, and you've been driving for like 8 or 9 hours, is a bit of an eye opener. You think, oh, we must be nearly there now. I don't know, still in Poland, still in Germany, or whatever it may be. And the fact that the either side of the roads have boards up to cut down on the noise for the villages, and also we found out on the latterly to cut the wind down from blowing the vans across the road. You don't actually see anything apart from the road in front of you, and the roads in Germany and Poland and Holland are beautiful. There's not a pothole in sight. It's like a billiard table. But however, I've never seen so much freight in my life. When you drive on the roads over here, you go up the M3 or whatever you do, M27, you might see 9 cars, 1 lorry. Completely the other way around over there. Everything is freight. There's just tons and tons of it. Driving through these roads, didn't see any motorbikes, probably because there's so much freight on the road. And the few cars that were there, we started calling donors because they were just cutting from left to right to try and cut in and out of all the lorries and giving like inches space between the journeys. And when you've been driving for like 12 hours, the last thing you need is some nutter cutting you up at 100 mile an hour. Kilometres, isn't it? 120 kilometres an hour. 90 miles an hour, I think that worked out. I haven't looked it up, to be fair, but yeah, no. So that was the start of the journey. Was we got loaded up at Bournemouth Airport with 2 vans full of aid. We're supposed to sort of carry 3.5 tons in each van, but I think, don't tell anyone, but I think we were running quite heavy. And it wasn't like we were eating our way through it to make it lighter as we went. Ended up being, how much mileage were we doing, Gary? Each van 2,600 miles. So, I mean, I guess if you look at, I don't know how far Middlesbrough is, but you could put that into context of doing that maybe every day for 5 or 6 days, or it's probably a lot further than that to make the figures up. And it was like, get off the ferry at 8 o'clock in the morning, 13 hours later, you think, oh, we need to stop somewhere. It's 8:30. We haven't eaten since breakfast, and it was that type of day every day. Apart from the main delivery day, I'll leave to some of the others to talk about because that got a bit exciting and a bit hairy.
Good morning, everybody. It's a lovely day here in Holland. We're in, where are we? We're heading towards Utrecht through Rotterdam. Got a long day ahead of us, probably 12, 13, 14 hours of driving. Probably going to push on through to Poznan, maybe Lodz, and see how we get on from there. But we'll keep you updated along the way. In the meantime, have a good one.
So, Willow, was there much trepidation on your side about this journey? Either the safety, maybe sleeping next to Simon, I don't know which, what things you were probably thinking about.
Yeah. The trip itself, listen, everything that went by was, the way they planned it was like a military precision. It was absolutely fantastic. The girls and Gail, like I said, my wife, everything was in place. The ferry, places, hostels, pubs, in terms of staying briefly, we couldn't judge the time, but I think there was 3 nights we got there at 9 o'clock at night. One at
11, I think.
1 at 11. So it was that sort of thing. You can't odds it, can you? They were brilliant. That was great.
But it was on the fly as well, wasn't it? It was like, we need to stop somewhere in like an hour.
Yeah.
And they go, well, if you can go an hour and 10 minutes, we found this place as we were driving, and they were booking us in on the fly. They go, right. And one of the things we didn't even consider was finding places that had parking for vehicles.
Yeah.
We're fully loaded with vans, and you can't be on a high street with all them goods. So they were absolutely amazing finding us off road, down beaten tracks, hostels and things. And they were all really comfy.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
But unfortunately, we got there to the restaurant closing before we got there most nights, and we hadn't left since breakfast the morning before. So a couple of hungry tummies in the morning.
We did survive on a bowl of chips one night. Was the best that they could come up with, which was a bit surprising. But
I think for one or two of us, it wasn't a bad thing.
Why'd you look at me, John?
The trouble is, it's like any trip, even in the UK, you just don't know what the traffic's like, what the conditions are like. So our aim was just to drive, and going over there, we could only do 75 miles an hour because we had the vans full up. Right. Coming back, we could go a lot faster. So again, we just wanted to get as much of the travelling done in the least number of days. So.
And did you know roughly where you were going to start off with? Because I gather the sort of destination was almost a moving target depending on whereabouts they sort of direct you to go.
We had been told where we should head for, so that's literally where we headed for, and that's where we sort of did it on the fly in terms of where we would stay over at night, depending on the conditions.
We only found that out the night before. So we based the whole trip around what we thought was a big refugee area, a town called Lodz, I think they call it, but it's called LODZ, which we actually made that town the first night. However, the night before they said, no, you're going to the border. You're going to the border of Ukraine. They'll send vans over to meet you. You'll open your back doors, they'll open their back doors, you reverse up to each other, and they'll put the parcels on. You go one way, they go back over the border. Didn't quite work that way, but that would be, so we based the trip around going to this one town. I thought, well, we can vary it from there. But it's a good starting point because they really couldn't tell us. Don't know who needed what in which aid centre, or where the refugees were coming through, if they were, or which refugee had been stopped. There's certain routes have been cut off, and certain aid areas had been full. They've still got stuff, whereas others were running out. So you'd get moved around on the fly pretty much, and we understood that. But we had to have somewhere to base it, and so we'd heard that other people had been to this town, so we based on going there originally. But things changed. As Gary said, we got the message the night before saying, no, you're going to the border to do the vans.
Good morning. Beautiful sunny day. We're on our way to the final destination, to the drop-off point. So we'll go and tell you where that is after we've left it. I've got John Williams at the wheel today. Say hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John. So how you feeling?
Pretty good.
All set?
Yeah, all set. This is, we're going to be another 4 hours or so. But yeah, looking forward to getting there, meeting some people and unloading, getting the gear off.
And then getting away as quickly as possible, yeah?
and then hitting the road, yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. I'll let you carry on driving. All right. We'll update you in a few hours when we're nearly there. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Yeah, so it all changed a bit. So again, we did it on the fly. We were driving down. We knew roughly where we had to go towards the border, and then somehow I became head of communications with Operation Poland / Ukraine, and got this message through saying they wanted us to deliver it into the Ukraine. So
you had to go inside.
Well, yeah, exactly. So actually, Dave and I were in the van at the time, and we had the conversation, and we decided, look, we've come this far. You know, if we only unload at the border, and to be fair, we had been our first drop-off point. We had been away from the main refugee centre, so we were a bit dubious about going there anyway. And then the thought of being sort of off the beaten track and unloading 2 massive lorries full of goods, to us, you know, the goods would go walking. So Dave and I discussed it, and we told the guys we needed to pull over. I think Willow was relieved we did, and then we told, and Dave and I had said we're going to go across irrespective. It's up to these 2 guys to make their own risk assessment and decide what they want to do. And we told them, and I thought Dave and I were really upset. We thought they would react really badly. And they were very serious for the first time for
the Willow swore.
no, I swear on this. I said, are you fucking joking? How far? Only 30 kilometres. Great. But, you know, there's no way we're going to do it, no matter what.
Couldn't leave the aid on the side of the road. We couldn't bring it back. Our only other thought was we discussed taking it to an aid station somewhere, you know, a refugee station somewhere, and we might find one on the fly. But then, who's to know if they needed it or not? So the decision was they were going to send. So they decided the guys know they're going to send a guide over to meet us, and they would get us through customs, etc., and go to Ukraine. And this was all about 11 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, probably 1 o'clock by the time we got down there, because I may have not taken the best route down there.
I'm going to just chip in here because the most amazing coincidence of my life happened. Now, I'm going to leave it till the end. But it's something to do with the guide who eventually got us through, which Simon will tell you about.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
So things changed last minute. We all decided we had to push through. We phoned home and advised our loved ones that we'd been asked to do this, and they didn't react kindly. But Gail was looking at the computer at the time and typing away in front of me and said, no, somebody else has done it before. I said, well, if they've survived to tell the tale, they must have got back. The tale was good. So we decided we'd do it, and thought we can get over the border and get back. It won't be a problem. However, then getting through the border was a major problem. So we met the 2. There were 2 guides, a female American Polish heritage lady, and a Polish
Janusz,
a Polish guy who had lived in the UK for a while, but spoke Ukrainian as well. So they were going to help us across. And where we met them was actually where we were supposed to drop the aid off into the back of their vans for them to go over. But when we got to the border, it wasn't as quite as straightforward as we first thought. There's 4 different sets of passport control, 2 from the Polish side and 2 on the Ukrainian side, and every one of them didn't want us to go over for whatever reason. And the worst ones were the Ukrainians, especially the was the ones that stopped us at the end, the goods, when you go through the goods control to check what you're carrying over.
Oh, customs.
Customs, thank you. The customs control. So we're carrying 7, maybe 8 tons of aid between the 2 vans to give to their people to help them. And he was moaning about everything. What's in these boxes? Well, it's toiletries, it's aid, it's medicines, it's food. It's lots and lots of food. And they'd take your passports and go away. But that's happened on all 4 stages. They need to go away for an hour and they come back and said, you're carrying a lot of beer. Now, it wasn't a lot of beer, but there was 2 or 3 crates of beer that our guide had pushed in to little holes. He said, no, this will come in handy. And the reason they were there is obviously to bribe the guards, because Ukraine's in prohibition from the first day of the war. It went into prohibition, so you can't buy drinks. If you've got some at home, you can have them, but you can't buy them, you can't sell them. And so after 5 hours of the crossing, the guy then says, they've got too much beer. He said, well, I'm Polish, these guys are British, we all like beer, and it's not illegal for us to have beer in Ukraine. He said, do you want some? And then his eyes lit up a bit, went, well, I don't drink so much myself, but some of my colleagues do, yeah. So he just took a crate with him, and sure enough, about half an hour later, both vans had got through. But I just couldn't believe how much opposition they put up to us delivering aid to their own people. You know, it's like, I'm not sure we can tell the one about what.
No.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, by now it's we get across the border. It's just the daylight's fading. The sun's setting behind us. I've got a lovely photo of "Welcome to Ukraine," if it can be a "Welcome to Ukraine" sign. But the sun's setting behind us, and then we can't go anymore because we've got to wait for a car to come. We've got to wait for a car to come so we can follow it, because they're not going to tell us directions or give us map references. And I think most of the signs in Ukraine have been taken down, road signs of where this town is 100 miles to here or 10 miles there. There was nothing like that. So we waited and waited and waited. By the time we got there, it was pitch black, which was quite a daunting thought driving through.
Yeah, I mean, what was more scary was the fact that you'd just driven off nice main roads and motorways, and you suddenly hit Ukraine, and I mean, the roads were, I mean, you talk about potholes, the roads were completely riddled with potholes. So it really brought you home the difference, the economic difference between the two countries, and there were a lot of the big anti-tank, you know, the metal crosses that they make up. They were all in the road. They had massive, great big concrete blocks which they would move across. There were soldiers with rifles. So we went from driving all the way down there. You know, we realised, you know, you were getting close to a war zone, but you felt quite safe and quite comfortable till actually you crossed the border, and then it really did bring it home to you. You know.
What was your morale like, Willow? Was it ever, you know, did it ever dip or not really?
No, never.
Willow doesn't have a dip in him, do you, Willow?
It was everybody was supportive of one another. It was a great team. We started calling ourselves the Fab Four, just obviously with my Liverpool connections. So it was a great thing, and everybody was supportive of one another. So no problem there with morale.
We decided we had to, as I spoke before on the previous one, we had to change up. You couldn't sit with the same guy next to you for 4 days when we first planned, ended up being 6 because of the Ukraine, going to Ukraine. All day, 2 foot away from the same person. Now, how close of friends we are, and we've all been friends for a very long time, it would test your friendship. And you know, but there wasn't a crossword between us. It was, but Con, you go with him this afternoon. I've had enough of him, or you know, oh, I'm not sleeping with him tonight. He snores. It was that type of thing. Mainly about me, I think. Was the thing. It was the others arguing not to have me. I think was the problem.
I mean, to be fair, originally it was just Simon and I were going to go, which seemed a good idea. If we were sat here now and it was only the 2 of us, it wouldn't have been such a good idea.
One of us wouldn't have come back.
And the fact that as soon as Willow found out about it, you've definitely got to take me, boys, and then we can tell you how dear old Dave got roped in. So having the 4 of us being able to, as I say, take it in turns, swapping vans, and who was sharing sleeping conditions just worked out perfectly.
We worked out today, we've stayed in the car for 60 hours in all, or it's going to end up that way, 60 hours. And it's been great because I've sat with Simon and we've moved around, Dave, Gary, and we moved around and every time I end up with Simon. So I've had a great few days. It's been exhilarating in actual fact. Yes, of course. I mean, it was we got to the border and it was fantastic news. They said to us, "Would you go in 30 kilometres to the Ukraine?" And of course, we didn't even give it a second thought. Yes was the answer.
He says after a bottle of wine.
Yeah. After a few big thoughts, by the way. So it was an exciting 3 or 4 hours to go in there, 30 kilometres and back, and we got away with it. We're out. We're on our way home.
And enjoy it and a good night of the bed.
Well, we're going to have a couple of drinks tonight. Yeah, and we're up again in the morning. So looking forward to see you all at home.
Do your musical tastes align? Because I presume there's music going on in the van, right?
Do you know what? We didn't have the radio on, did we?
What was really odd, Simon did at one stage.
Yeah, strangely, we although we really love our music, it wasn't something we were playing, so we were concentrating so hard on what was going on the road because there was so much freight and we were running so heavy, and the braking distances were key, and just also really whoever was passenger was communicating with home. Just going, Gail, can we do this? Viv, can we do that? Sort of thing. Yeah, where are we? You know, how much further can we go? And they were working out routes and things for us. But it was quite strange because the route was fairly straight. It was just like you could almost draw a line from west to east, and we were following it. That's just the way the motorway went straight through the middle. So there wasn't a lot of deviation, but it wasn't until after we delivered the goods and John and I were back together the next day that we thought we'd come back a different way. Because we had that extra day's delay, we couldn't make the ferry that we ideally wanted to on the Saturday morning or Sunday morning. So we had to get the Sunday night, which really bought us some time. So we looked at the map. The girls didn't appreciate this, and nor did Dave actually. But we looked at the map and we worked out either way back, about 8 hours on driving the first night, is either Berlin or Prague. Now. Well, we thought that'd be a nicer place to stop, especially if we get there about 7:30 at night, because we didn't have to drive too long, because we had 2 8-hour days, and so we sort of talked about it and went, that sounds great, and I'm sure there's some cheap hostels in Prague, but apparently it wasn't where we ended up. We ended up near Dresden, which was right between the two, right through the middle. But literally like 5 miles, wasn't it, from Colditz Castle? We didn't even know. Otherwise, we'd have gone there for the night.
See that? Yeah.
Apparently, it's turned to the hotel, and we were saying we were probably going to be the only Englishman to be thrown out of Colditz Castle rather than be kept into Colditz Castle. but yeah, so that was the night we stopped and watched the England game. We had this lovely German hotel near Dresden that said they couldn't put the football game on, but they called all their friends and somebody worked out how to download it and put it on the screen. So we were watching the England game, which in a German bar, which was nice.
We're on the way back now, aren't we?
Yeah, it's on back. So we've skipped a whole chapter here, but
so do you want the coincidence now?
Go for it.
Go for
it. Gary sort of instigated it by talking to what's he called again?
Janusz.
He was talking to him and mentioned where I lived, and he spoke really good English as well as Polish and Ukrainian, and he said, I think Will have lived there. He lived in England for quite a while. So I live in Barton-on-Sea, and across the road there's that restaurant, Pebble Beach. You need your checkbook if you're going there, by the way.
Not now you're a famous superstar.
Yeah. Or your checkbook, I can remember.
Yeah. So he said, I worked in Pebble Beach for 10 years. I went, you're joking.
No way.
Yeah. He said, my mum, like if you come out of Pebble Beach and turn right, she lives on the top over there. And I'm like, you are joking, mate. You can't. That's not. He said, no, it's good. He said, my son is at the Bournemouth Academy.
No way.
Honestly,
Yeah.
He's a goalkeeper. 10 years of age.
Under 10, was it, he said?
Yeah, 10 years of age.
So John's had to drive to Ukraine to meet his neighbour.
Yeah. It wasn't. I mean, Pebble Beach is a free kick from me across the road, and I thought, hang on, they're winding me up. They've got me right at it. And he went, no, honestly, it's true. Unbelievable.
That is crazy.
So he was living in Bournemouth, but moved out there when war broke out to help because he could speak both languages and wanted to help his friends on the Polish and Ukraine side. So he's gone over there to help, and we've met him literally at the Polish-Ukraine border, and he's seen us across the crossing. John's neighbour, bless him, really did help.
So it took England to what was it? Was Holland? England to Holland, then Germany,
all the way through Germany,
then Poland, and then the Ukraine, and he worked across the road in the restaurant.
That is unbelievable. Wow.
But I guess leading on from that, it is a bit more about what happened when we got across the border into Ukraine, because this is.
I mean, I take it there was a lot of like refueling. I mean, obviously there was a lot of money that's been donated. And that helped with a number of your costs, right?
Absolutely, and it's so generous and so appreciative, because things like £1,800 worth of fuel over 6 days is, and we had our vans on economy mode, or one of them that did economy mode. We had it on economy mode all the way there. It's just relentless, mile after mile. It's over 2,600 miles. It's just huge distances, and being -4, we did actually stay in a couple of hostels along the way. We slept on the boat overnight, so there wasn't anything there. But the hostels, they were so cheap, but lovely. Just get our heads down, a bit of warmth, and then on our way again the next day. So the funding's been invaluable. We couldn't have done it without the
people have been so generous.
They've been incredibly generous, and they're the heroes, the people that just enabled us to get over there and deliver this aid. And we delivered it right to the people of Ukraine, but only thanks to the people funding us. We couldn't have done it without them. We have some left over. We'd like a little bit more so we can go again, because the need hasn't gone away. But yeah, so things like the fuel, the ferries over.
Do you want to market your favourite van hire company?
Oh yes, absolutely.
We love Abacus.
So you could cut this out if you like. But we so many times this journey nearly stopped. Firstly, things like I expected to get a couple hundred quid in the GoFundMe page, and I was going to go, that's all right. Sorry guys, we couldn't make it. We're fun. But it went to like £900 in the first night. And I said, Gary, we are going to Ukraine one way or another. And so I went and said, well, I've got to hire a van. Because I spoke to Dave, and I said to Dave, I said, you've got like 14 vans, haven't you? Because you've got franchise at DPD. He said, yes. I said, I want one. I'm going to take it to Ukraine. He said, not a chance in hell. He said, just the mileage on it. He said, and what happens if it breaks down, etc., etc. Anyway, so I thought, okay, so we're going to Enterprise vans in Ferndale, and they said you've got no charge of booking hiring a van to go to Poland. No one will touch you. Not one company will touch you. And I went, oh, that's it. I've got all this money now. Building up. It's like £1,200 by the morning, and I can't go. And I couldn't think of a way out. And I was thinking, can I borrow the works van? It's only tiny. I said, oh, Abacus are just up the road. I'll just go and ask them anyway, see if they might know someone that might. And when they said, oh, you deliver an aid to Poland for the Ukrainians? Yeah. Oh, good. We'll give you a 10% discount. It's like, what a difference. It's like, but we were just told no one will touch us. Oh, no, we've got drivers going all the time. There's a lady who's been twice on her own. Wow. Sorry? Is there?
Well done, Abacus.
So we made sure there's a few photos of the Abacus van actually in Ukraine when we got it there. But what a difference, and it nearly stopped there and then. So anyway, when we got enough money, Gary and I, to take the van, and we went to Abacus. We went around to see. I was badgering Dave and said, look, you need to do something. He said, but I'll tell you what, how much do you think it's going to cost in fuel? I said, look at the mileage, probably about 600 quid. He said, I'll pay for that. He said, I'll give you the fuel. So he donated £600 to our GoFundMe account. So brilliant. So a couple of days before, I think it was a Sunday when we were leaving on the Wednesday, Gary and I have driven around there, just go around and have a beer and say, thanks Dave, it's really helped us a lot. And Dave just looked at me and went, you want me to do more, don't you? I said, well, anything you can do would be useful. He said, Go, what van have I got? I'm going to Ukraine. and that was it, he was coming with us. So he set up his own GoFundMe page, and they got £1,200 so far, I think, in that. And we put an event up. And since our interviews with you, it's gone mad, and we're getting donations from people we don't really know, but we thanked every single one of them. But family, friends, people are just so generous. And I think people want to do something, they just don't know what they can do. And buying a tin of peas and taking it to the shop, it probably doesn't satisfy people, you know, or some food or whatever they've been doing. And so they've enabled us to do this. So I think you know, and that's what I promised, that we would put videos up, we would put photos up, and hopefully they got value for money along the way. Yeah, we're not professionals. I just had a camera, my phone, an iPhone with a camera on it, and we just had a chat as we could, and we thought, but you know, and some of it's very samey because it's, how do you feel this morning? Yeah, tired. Yeah, how do you feel this morning? Yeah, tired. What are we going to do today? Oh, we're going to drive. But we gave some feedback, and we showed the journey there and back, I hope. and stupidly we will go again. We need to go again. Waiting for John to have international breaks might be difficult before now and the end of the season. If we get up in the playoffs, it might be too late to take John again. So we're hoping we've got to go up automatically so we can get there quicker. But my company's been really supportive. They might send a couple of vans. Now I've just discussed with them how to do it, and if we can inspire anybody else to go, because we can only do so much, 7 tonne at a time. If we can get 10 people to do what we did at 70 tonne, that makes a world of difference.
I think people do find it more tangible when you're donating, especially like to 4 guys that people know and who are going there like in the space of a week like you did, and then then you're back already having achieved it. If you do it again, I'm sure you get equally more support.
Well, let's hope so. But it's our friends have only got so much, and so we will rely on other people, and hence hopefully some of your audience will decide to chip in, and we can promise them. I'll write them a letter if they like from the border, just so they've got something from Ukraine next time
in Polish.
But absolutely, I'll get Janusz to do it. But going back to the inspiring others, I got so emotional that the day we were coming back on the ferry, one of the guys that was helping us load our van at the care depot in Herne said it was asking me lots of questions about how we did it and what we were doing and where did I get the van and this, that and the other. So I explained it all to him and what the difficulties we had and what we were doing on the ferries. So I got a message from him that morning saying he was going. He's got the van, he's going to load it up and go the next day, and that to me was like, oh wow, we've got one. We've inspired one. And I had to go back on my neck because I get emotional about this because that's the legacy, that's the next stage. The people get some more aid. But luckily, he didn't quite have the adventure we had, because he got 10 miles into Poland, delivered to a hotel where refugees were staying, and came back. It was done in 2 days. So he was like, thanks, mate. but he had his own adventure and his own memories that will never leave, and he'll have pride in himself for life. I hope for that. Because
if anyone does decide to do it, Simon's got a shortcut in Poland. They'll knock about 4 hours off. Not many people know.
I was probably asleep for about 4 hours, was it?
So what was it like then when you're in Ukraine and then you're handing over the stuff? I mean, you must have felt a sense of accomplishment and pride and all these kind of feelings.
Do you know what? You probably didn't actually, because it was literally, to be fair, the vans pulled up at what I thought was quite, we were in the centre of town, but it was a little bit, I thought it looked a little bit dodgy where the buildings were, no disrespect.
Fair to say.
And then lots of Ukrainians came out, quite a few kids and women and children and stuff. And it was a matter of we've never unloaded a van so quick, two vans so quick, and they were just so pleased to see us. You did feel like, sometimes you see Bob Geldof go to Africa, and he's mobbed out there. You did feel a bit like that. So to be honest, I didn't really feel anything about how unsafe it was, because just the euphoria of their faces and just getting this thing done.
I think the scary bit was driving through Ukraine, because we're going deeper and deeper. They wouldn't tell us where we were going. They said it's 20 kilometres over the border, and we know, 20 kilometres is about 20 kilometres back there, and we're still going. It's left and right and left and right.
You're driving near a war zone. It's like,
and we're heading near Lviv. We got bombed a couple of days before, and funny enough, got bombed the morning after we left. But we're not knowing quite what to find. These guys could be desperate and going, look, we couldn't get our vans because they've been blown up. We need yours. See ya, and take our vans and our phones and even our passports. We don't know this, so these little doubts go in your head, especially at that time of night after a long, tiring day. So you start thinking the worst. You think, well, actually, they seem all right. But when you get there and they're hugging you, and it's like, on this whole trip, suddenly COVID's left my brain. I didn't even think about it once. We're on the ferry with people. We're in the vans with each other. We're stopping at service stations and not cleansing our hands, using the pumps. We just wanted to get it there. And when these people come up and they're all sweaty and hugging you and kissing you on the cheek and stuff, it didn't even for 1 second think, oh dear, I better wear a mask or anything. It's just like, this is what's needed. Whatever else is out there in the world, this is what's needed now. And so, as Gary said, it was just something that was happening at the time, but just driving away, I almost wanted to stop on the side of the road and just have a moment. But there was a guy who said, no, we need if you'll get. They offered us a room to stay the night, as I said, and
we all agreed that one wasn't going to happen. A sleepover was not in the
In
plan.
Ukraine. That was a definite. Are you joking with the F word?
So when it's phoned them, one, see what they think, and basically we discussed it. We wanted to get back. We're thinking, but by the time we get back, if it's another 6 hours through the border, it's going to be 5 or 6 in the morning. We haven't eaten since breakfast. And they're giving us water and stuff.
And his breakfast.
Well, but literally, and the breakfast is cheese and cold meat.
Yeah, but not being funny, to have 2 English vans with number plates on there, and they'll only let you through if you've got your registration documents, which I guess is a way of checking that people haven't nicked vans and are bringing them across. But if they do want to get their hands on vans, two English vans, so yeah, that was the quickest decision we made, I think.
But we did phone home and just mentioned that and the message came back: get your asses over the border, and that was it. So one of the vans was tracked. David tracks his fleet, the vans. And so when we'd made the decision to go through, we go, so that's all right, we can track you. So each of them sat in their own houses that night with their own private WhatsApp group, but watching the vans moving. Of course, when they got to the border and didn't move for 6 hours, and we're not speaking to them very often, they get a bit itchy. And then it's like 9 at night, and they see us actually moving into Ukraine, and we're like 3 hours stopping, starting, stopping. It was quite an uncomfortable evening for them, I'm sure, because they didn't have a clue, because we were radio silent sort of thing. We couldn't phone them up and go, "Oh, hi, we're here." So that was probably more uncomfortable for them than it was for us. But still, it was that unknown of. There was nothing around some of the roads we were going to. We've never found our way back to the border without this guy. So we waited for a guy to be free to lead us back to the border, and that was a bit of a relief, but just as scary, because it's just like we don't know where we are. It could be leading just another town, because it was so much left and right. But when we got to the border, we thought, okay, well at least we're here. We're probably a bit safer here, but it could be another 6 or 7 hours, and it was 10 o'clock at night or something. And so we said to the girls, look, soon we could speak to them again. As soon as we're across the border, can you find us a hotel like right on the border? Because we're done. We can't move. It was a hostel. It wasn't. I don't mean hotels. We're not. But somewhere to put our heads down because we're done. And funny if they came up with it again. Perfect. Oh yeah, half an hour away from the border. That's plenty enough. I can drive. That's plenty enough. You can get your head down here. And for like €10 a night or something for it was €15 for the room or something. For the 2 of us slept in each room for 30. We just had to do it. And but we couldn't have done that without the support from the girls at home. But the whole Ukraine thing of turning from you're delivering to the border to no you're coming over. Really changed the dynamics, and it was a scary few hours for us, but also for our loved ones at home.
Good morning, and happy Mother's Day to all them lovely mothers back home. It's Sunday, and we're driving from near Dresden to the Hook of Holland to catch our overnight ferry tonight. One more day to go when we arrive back in England in the morning, just a 4 or 5 hour drive home. So we should be home sort of tomorrow lunchtime-ish. What Dave's driving? What are your thoughts on reflections on things now, Dave? Now we're sort of finally heading home.
Just tired, dude.
Relieved?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, nice to get home. And I'm fed up with driving.
I've got the prize. However, rumour has it, it's been mentioned by a couple of people, including your good lady wife, that this isn't over. And we may have to go again. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not listening.
Should we get home first before we go again?
Have a think about it.
Have a think about it. So, surprisingly, spirits are still good, even though some silly sod woke us up at 3 o'clock in the morning and decided we wanted to go to the ferry port at that time. Neither of us, by the way. So we're all tired. Looking forward to coming home and seeing you all. And many thanks for everything. And we keep going. It doesn't stop. Russians haven't stopped, so nor can we. Lots of love. Thank you. Have a lovely day. We'll see you when we get home. Bye bye.
Yeah, and it must have been heartening and nice to get messages from home. Obviously, I mean, I know you're not a social media guru, but you were probably passed on.
That surprises me.
I expect a lot of the messages were
on the trip.
Thank you for them kind words. I'm hopeless.
I expect a lot of the your goodwill messages were passed on to you.
Yeah, sure, of course. And texts and a little bits and bobs. Yeah, no problem with that. So always in contact.
To be fair, probably the most dangerous thing I experienced on the trip is when I'm driving, trying to answer John's phone at the same time. But I managed to manage that after a while. So I do know all of his passwords. So if you want to know John's COVID certificate, I can dial into his phone and get that for you.
Actually, we've done that this morning.
Have you?
COVID, yeah, clear. Go.
So coming home was a big relief, and obviously a lot lighter vans, and just go back and where we missed the rush to get to the ferry we aimed for. We had 2 sort of 8.5, 9 hour days with driving instead of one of 15, 16. Now it doesn't. When you talk 15, 16, it doesn't sound a lot, but when you still talk 8 or 9, that is a long drive. Because we're thinking, oh, this is easy, but you're going, oh my God, it's still 6 o'clock at night. We haven't got anywhere. You know, you can do a lot of driving in that time. But
just to put a bit of perspective on the driving, Liverpool's 260 to get there.
Really?
260 to get back.
So 5
I know that one.
Yeah. So we did there and back every day, or more than that, there and back every day for 5 days running.
Well, hello. Hopefully this is the last update for a while, because we are back in Ferndown. We made it home, 4 guys and 2 vans, in roughly the same shape as the vans are roughly the same shape as when we left. We might not be, feeling a bit tired and jaded, but we're back in Ferndown having a beer. 2 of the wives have joined us that have done a lot of the work behind the scenes along the way. And Gary's feeling fresh apparently. He's been like that all trip. But I'm going to introduce you to Viv. Say hi, Viv.
Hello.
And Gail.
Hello.
You can see yourself in the window.
Hello.
Beer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, my
Release me
focus
back.
again.
Yeah, back on a solid ground of England. Love it.
Usual kind.
And back with the wife.
Yeah,
don't forget to mention the wife.
Yeah, of course. My wife, Viviano's here, so everything's very good.
I'd say we've got all the way through, no scrapes, no dents.
No problems.
Not in the vans anyway.
It's we're just working out when we're going to go back.
Exactly that. Gail, when are we going back? You'll tell us.
So the next plan is we're still fundraising. We have 5,500 so far. So what we'll do is we'll put all the costs together, what we paid. We reckon that's about 3,000. We're not 100% sure yet. And then we'll arrange for the next one to go over. We're also still in contact with the Polish guys about what they need, and they just need transport over. So if anyone else has ideas or wants to go over to Poland, I know our guys were a bit exceptional going into Ukraine, but that's what was needed at the time. But any help that you need for assistance, logistics, hotels, travel, ferries, just contact us and we will give you advice to help. This is about awareness, this is about getting the aid to the right people. Thank you.
Well done. Well, she should have made my interviews a much easier on the boat, wouldn't she, and in the van trips, if she'd have come with me. Yeah, the first sensible and about the longest. But I said all along, this isn't just about us, it's about inspiring others. And one chap we've already spoke to has been following our story. He got his van today, he's going tomorrow. So I'm getting a bit emotional thinking about it. But that's what we need. We need other people now. Take on the baton. Go forward. You can do it. Gary can't get out of bed without putting his knee supports on in the morning. John can't walk. And Dave and I are silly fat twats. So if we can do it, you can do it. So please, let us know what you need. We can help. We can give you documentation, advice. I can tell you exactly what we did wrong, because we did. But we got there and back, so can you. Thank you so much for the journey. And chapter 2. We'll update you when chapter 2 comes out. Thank you.
So I expect that's fueled your feeling to sort of want to do it again.
I think so. It was a great experience.
They can't make me do it.
And I would go back for exactly the same reasons for the reason I went. I think having seen it over there, your perspective changes a bit more because 4 million people have left the Ukraine, which means if you're a great mathematician like me, population was 44 million. There's 40 million people still stuck in Ukraine. I think it's fantastic that the Russians are losing. God bless them if they do lose. And so the more people that are stuck in there, you know, the ones outside of Ukraine in Poland, there's 2.4 million in Poland, can get fed, and the kids are at schools and getting educated, etc., etc. But there's 40 million that are stuck in there. So, to be honest, you know, I know we've said it's tough and hard, etc., etc. It was a fantastic experience, and I would do it again tomorrow if we could do, and all the rest of it, depending on how conditions change in Ukraine. That's something that you just have to judge closer to the time, because Biden was actually over there at the time, and as Simon said, 50 kilometres away from us, the towns did get bombed in the morning and later on in the evening. But yeah, it's
we're planning a timing right. We need a bit more funding to do the next trip, and I think the next trip will be. It may be even harder than the first one, but we've learned lessons of what to do. But I don't think we can do it any quicker, because you can't drive any further in any one day than we did. And some of us are still recovering from the journey. Others quite sprightly. They want to go back tomorrow, but. Yeah. Even when you're not driving, to sit in the van for the other 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day that you're not driving, that takes it out of you to sat still. You know, your legs are cramping up, especially when you've been driving for the first 7 hours and your ankles used to being at one position. So it can be tough. However, said the guy that went afterwards didn't find it tough at all. He had 1 day there, 1 day back, and he was in and out of Poland. It was great. Our adventure was slightly more, but I think they looked at us and went, "Yeah, they're idiots. They'll do it." They must have known we were going over before. But what Gary's alluding to there is the need now is the people who are outside, and the refugees are coming out as a trickle now rather than as hordes. And that was quite emotional as well. Watching the guys, because they've given everyone a gun and everyone a uniform. They were walking their wives and kids to the border, and then saying goodbye. They're turning around and walking back to Ukraine because they're not allowed to leave. Any men between the age of 16 and 70, I think it was, are not allowed to leave, and just sending the kids off and then going back. And you think that was quite tough to take in. But so we have to go. We can't not. And if we can inspire others to do it as well, then our job's been great. So we want to get as many people out there, and we can help with that. We can help with logistics. We can tell people what to expect. We can do a document. I'm doing an idiot's guide to delivering aid to Poland and Ukraine, where this is what you need to do. These are people you need to speak to. You can phone these people for help in Poland. You can go this route or that route, depending on how long you want to spend. There's another lady I'm dealing with that's taking food out for animals next week, and she's going for 2 weeks because she's going on her own. Things like that are sensible. You can't expect to drive there and back in 14 days if you're on your own, because you just won't. But it's the lessons we can pass on and the experience we can pass on. If we do it again, we might do things slightly differently, go a slightly different way, just to see which was a better way. And we will take the pain to help others.
Brilliant. Well, you can still donate. It's afcbpodcast.com/Ukraine. That will take you straight to the GoFundMe page, which has got a complicated address. afcbpodcast.com/Ukraine. Any final words, Willow? Who was your favourite person to be in a van with?
No!
Don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me.
He's bought him flowers and everything.
Yeah. Do you want me to leave the room?
Can we talk about the Bristol game now? Oh, you've done that, but haven't you?
The Bristol game Saturday, yeah. But I mean, no, the trip, everyone got on great. Everyone was fantastic and great fun. I mean, great fun in terms of we did the best we could. When you're sitting together for all that time, if you can't get on, you soon found out. Yeah. You know, you'll know about it. But it was a great thing. The lads were brilliant. But
I think that was keep saying it's very important. You know, after 4 or 6 hours, change it up. You know, sleep with the combination that night, and with the van or in a hostel. You know, you change it round.
I don't want to sleep in one of them hammocks again. I didn't
like back of the van.
I didn't like that.
Could only do it when we'd emptied it, though.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Well, check out more information in the link at the bottom. It's been a pleasure to have you on, Willow, Simon and Gary. And also big shout out to Dave as well.
Yep.
And
Gail.
And Gail
and also Viv and Gail behind the scenes.
And Jackie for letting me go. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. Well, make sure you check the description below. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more updates, because when they do anything, we'll tell you. And also make sure you check out their Facebook page as well. That'll give you more information. We'll see you on the next video. Up the cherries.
Up the cherries.